Hello friends, thank you for watching this video. I am Mohamad and today we're gonna be discussing something really important, which is logging. Logging is basically gonna be the lifeblood of our application in order for us to monitor it for any issues that might be coming up from the performance and so on and so forth. So we're gonna be utilizing today a free library called WatchDog. We're going to be configuring it, we're going to be connecting it to a PostgreSQL in order for us to store all of the logs there, and we're going to be seeing how powerful it is. Just by a simple configuration to our application, we're going to be having a lot of features available for us out of the box without actually doing anything ourselves. So if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. It will really help the channel. On another note, if you really want to help me and to grow this channel and basically keep everything for free, please consider supporting me on Patreon or buying me a coffee. Now with that, please grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. So first things first, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go to the repository on GitHub. We're going to see the different implementation, how we can install it, so on and so forth. And then we're going to be creating a web API. We're going to be installing this Nuget package into our web API. And once we do, we're going to be seeing how we can utilize it inside our web API. Before we jump into any of this, it's a shameless plug here. So please, if you're not following me already on GitHub, please go and follow me there. It will be really appreciated, as well subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's go back to the repo, and we can see here that we have the repository is called WatchDog. It allows us to basically get all of the logs from our ASP.NET application. It could be web app, it could be web API as well. Here we can see that it gives us a nice view of our logs. It's all built in, we don't really have to do anything. We're gonna see how we can set it up and utilize it. So since we have done that already, and I'll put the link here in the description down below, so you can actually see how you can actually utilize it in your own application, but we're going to be throwing step by step as well. So let's go to our terminal, and inside our terminal what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a new web application. So in order for us to do that, we're going to be utilizing the .NET new web API, and then we're going to be giving the name, and let's call it log application. I don't know, let's call it version 2 because I already had version 1 before. So this will take a few seconds, and now since it's already built, what we can see here right now is we're going to be utilizing Rider, and basically Rider will just allow us to have a much more cleaner IDE, so we can utilize it. You can use Visual Studio Code, you can use Visual Studio, anything that you want. I rather to utilize Rider. So once we have done that, I'm going to open Rider here, and I'm gonna go to this application, and inside .NET we're gonna have log application version 2, and I'm gonna open this. Yes, I do trust this. And here we can see that my application has been opened, and basically we have a normal web API. We can see we have controllers, we have program.cs, we have weather forecast, something like they give us for free. So perfect. So once we have done all of this, the next step is let us install some Nuget packages. And basically this Nuget package is going to be the WatchDog Nuget package. So inside our terminal, what we're going to be doing first is .NET build to make sure that the application build successfully. Perfect. Then we're going to put .NET add package watchdog.net. This should take a few seconds. Perfect. Now it has been installed. Let us verify that it has been installed successfully. Right click, edit, and let's see the CS profile, and we can see that the watchdog.net has been installed successfully. Great. So once we have added this, the next step is basically we need to enable this inside our program.cs, which is going to be the startup class. So let's open a program.cs, and before we have the builder.build, so what we need to do is we need to add this part of the building process. So it has to be here, and it's gonna be builder.services.add watchdog services. And basically what this do is basically configuring the dependency injection for all of the watchdog services that we need. And basically it's taking care for us all the way there. So by adding simply this line here, basically what we're doing is we're having all of the dependency injection that we need for our application available for us within a single line. So it's always good for us not to only utilize the default version. So let's see how we can actually optimize the configuration for this. So here what we can do is let's put options, and let's create Lambda. And for example, within the options, we can say is auto clear, and we're gonna say for now it's true. So what does this mean? So for example, let's say I want to keep only my logs for 1 week. and I don't want to bother by every time after a single week to go there and basically delete them manually. So what can I do? In essence, I can set this flag here is auto clear for true, and basically after I specify a certain amount of time, it's gonna automatically clear my logs for me, so I don't have to do it. So, but the first flag is basically I need to set it to true. The second flag that I need to set is when this should be cleared, and here, in order for me to do that, I need to go to options dot clear time schedule, and here what we can do is we can choose either daily, monthly, quarterly, or weekly. Let's say it's going to be weekly, and this by then automatically whenever a log start, and basically whenever we have logs every single week, if those logs are older than a week, they're going to be automatically deleted, so we don't really have to do anything other than that. And here we can see that this service automatically take care of all of these, which is great. So that's all good. But for example, if we're going to take this application into a much more production environment where we have a lot of people utilizing it, we don't really want to clear the logs, because logs are very important. They give us actually an indication on the performance of our application. They give us an indication if there is anything that we need to optimize, so on and so forth. So for this reason, we need to keep the logs. And the best way for us to keep the logs is, in essence, to keep them in a database where we can actually keep them for a long time. And basically WatchDog allows this for us, and basically makes it really easy for us to do that. So basically what we can do is we can create a database. We can put the connection string for that database inside our application, connect WatchDog to that connection string, and basically WatchDog will take care of the rest for us. So let's see how we can do that. So before we do anything, within the application, we need to make sure that we have a database server running locally on our machine. So let's go back to our terminal. And inside our terminal here, what we're going to be doing is basically we want to make sure that we have, we're going to be utilizing Postgres. So currently, WatchDog only supports 3 databases: SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres. So I think the best suitable one is Postgres. So let's utilize it right now. So the way we do it, we're going to be utilizing Homebrew to do that. So we're going to put brew.install PostgreSQL, and basically this will install Postgres. I have already installed it on my machine, so for you it might take a different amount of time to install. If you're on Windows, you can go to the Postgres URL and download it from there. It's all the same thing. And after we install it, we need to make sure that it's running. And because it's utilizing Homebrew, we can utilize the Homebrew start. So brew start, brew services start PostgreSQL, and basically this will start the Postgres server for us if it's not already running, but we already have it running. If you want to stop it, it's very simple. Instead of start, you just put stop and it will stop it. We want it running right now, so we don't want to stop it. So once we have done that, the next step is we need to log in into our Postgres. And basically once we log in into our Postgres, we need to basically configure it. We need to create a user, we need to create a database, and we make sure that that user is allowed to log in. And from there, we're going to have our connection string. So how do we do that? We put PSQL, which stands for Postgres, and we put Postgres. And this will basically allow us to have a more of a terminal for the Postgres, so we can manage it from there, which is what we want right now. So once we have logged into Postgres, what we need to do is we need to first by creating the user that's going to be responsible for connecting our application to the Postgres. And this is done very simple. So all we need to do is we need to put create role. We're going to call it, let's call it log dev user, I don't know, something like that, with password, and we're gonna give the password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and we basically here we saw that we have created a role. Now we need to basically to give it a privilege, or basically give it some abilities to do stuff. So currently this role does not have any privilege, does not have any access to do anything. So we're gonna start basically by giving it like a create DB role, and then we're gonna give it a master role, so basically it will be able to do everything. So how do we do that? We're gonna put alter role, let's call it log dev user, and we're gonna call this create DB. So basically we're giving create DB access to this user, and we can see here it work. Then we're gonna put alter role log dev user, and we're gonna put this with yeah, let's put it super user, it's better. So that way it basically it's an admin, it can do whatever we need to do. Perfect, now we have the super user enabled. So now that we have created the user, the next step is to create a database, and let's create a new database. And for this, what we can do is we can put create database. We'll call it, let's say, sample log db app, something around that. We have created the database. Now what we need to do is we need to give access to the user that we have created to actually connect to this database and manage it, which should be very simple and straight to the point. So the way we do that is basically we just provide access to that user to do this. So it's gonna be grant connect on database, and we called it, let's copy the name, and we need to give it to log dev user. Oops. Log dev user. And now basically the user log dev user have the ability to connect to this sample log db app, and basically we can utilize it from there. So now that we have did all of this, basically we have now our user, we have our database. What we need to do right now is basically we need to create a connection string inside our application and connect it to this. So let's go back to Rider. Let's open our app settings. And here what we need to do is we need to put connection strings, and we're gonna call this, let's say, default connections or something around those lines. Let's call it sample default sample db connection. And once we have done that, now we need to provide the actual connection, which is going to be user id equal, let's copy this, let's go back to terminal, log dev user. Great. Now we need to basically give the password, which should be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Great. Now we need to give access to the server, which is going to be localhost. And then we need to give access to the port, which should be 5432. And basically the next step after this is we need to provide the security that we need to give to our connection. So the security here is going to be integrated security, and we're going to be utilizing pooling. So it's going to be something like this. Oh, before that we need to specify the database. So database equal, let's take the name of the database, copy this, sample log db app. Then we're gonna say it's integrated security equal true. And then basically what we need to do is we need to put pooling equal true. Perfect. So now that we have our connection string ready, the next step is we need to connect this to our program.cs and connect it to the startup for application. So here, since we went to the program.cs, what we need to do here is basically we need to update these configurations so it will take benefit of the new connection string in our database. So this we're gonna switch to is auto clear to false because we don't want to clear the logs. This will be irrelevant, so let's comment it out. And here basically we need to start specifying our connection string, and the way we do it is we put options dot external db connection string equal builder dot services dot builder dot configurations dot get connection string, and here we need to pass the name of our connection string. So it's gonna be sample db connection. We're gonna put it here, and then we're gonna put options dot it's gonna be set the driver option, because basically what we need to do here is we need to tell our WatchDog library what type of database we are connecting to, so it will provide the right let's say tools to connect to. So if it's a MySQL, we need to tell it's a MySQL. If it's Postgres, SQL Server. So right now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna say it's a Postgres DB, and here we can see that we have set up the connection. So once we have set up the connection, it's always good to just build to make sure everything is running. So .NET build. Perfect. So now that our application has built successfully, the next step is what we need to do is we need to update our middleware, so it will take advantage of the WatchDog library. So right now what we did is we added the services into our dependency injection. If you don't know anything about dependency injection, don't worry, I have a video here somewhere where I link where you learn about it more. And right now we're going to be basically taking the benefit of the middleware. And if you don't know what a middleware is as well, there's a different video, I'll link it here. But basically what we need to do is we need to inject this where when the application is starting up, it will have all of the services available, which we have already done that. And now we need to connect it to the middleware, so it will actually be able to intercept those requests coming in and out and basically attach itself to them. So the way we do it is going to be here. We're going to put app.use watchdog exception logger, and basically because we have done that, now this is going to allow us to connect to the middleware. Let's add a comment here. Inject into the middleware. Perfect. So once we have done that, now basically we have our everything that we need. It basically connects to the database, it creates the tables for us, it will basically be responsible to do everything that we need. But that's not the only thing we need. If we go right now to our application, to our web browser, we can see that we're gonna have this nice interface that we wanna utilize. And basically this nice interface here, it will give us the ability to check the request logs, the exceptions, so on and so forth. And we wanna utilize this and we wanna make it secure. So how can we do that? Very simple. So let's go back to our rider. And basically what we need to do is we need to specify these configurations inside our middleware. So we're gonna put app.use watchdog. So basically here we're basically giving configuration. We're specifying the options that we want. And basically from the options here, we're gonna basically put options dot, we're gonna put watch page with password. So we're gonna specify the password that we're gonna be utilizing to connect, and we're gonna put options. We're gonna use the username. So I'm gonna put the username admin, and I'm gonna put the password 1234567 8. Very simple. So one note here that I would like to mention is this is not a good way to put username and password. It's a terrible way. In real-time application and real-world application, what we need to do is basically we need to have the admin, the username, the passwords, the connection strings, all of them stored in a secure place. Like if you're utilizing Azure, we can put it in like Azure Key Vault. If you're utilizing AWS in Secret Manager, so on and so forth. All of these things should not ever be hard-coded into our application. It's a big security flag, and it's basically, it should not go ever at all see the light of day in production like that. So for this reason, what we need to do is we need to put them somewhere secure. But because this is a demo application and only for sampling, for explanation reasoning, we are putting them here. But anywhere else, it should not exist like this. So, and this also is true for the connection string. The connection string should never ever be like this. The connection string should be hosted somewhere secure. So since we cleared this up, the next step for us is basically what we need to do here is let's test it out. So let's run the debug. And we can see here that we have an issue, and the issue is telling us that we're not allowed to connect, and this means that I put something wrong in my connection string. So the way that I fix this is basically very simple, because I think I made a typo during when I'm typing it. So let me copy paste it from somewhere which I know it's true. So let me get this right now, and I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm just gonna paste this entire connection string from a place where I know it's gonna be completely true, and let's delete this, we don't need it. And I don't need this as well. Oops. Okay, so let me update those credentials that I have. So let's go back to terminal, and we know the user is going to be log dev user, so that's going to be the one. The password is going to stay 128, and basically the application it's going to be this. And now if I run it, now that everything should work, let me just try to stop it all and try it again, or let me do another rebuild. So let's come here, let's go .NET build. Okay, let's try this. Okay, it's running. So basically maybe it was something cached, I'm not really sure what was the issue. So let us check this now. Let's copy this and let's go to our web browser and let's open a new tab and let's paste this here. So here what we need to do is let's go to Swagger. So it's going to be /swagger/index.html. Advanced, we're going to say I accept these risks, and now we can see our application. But right now this is not what we want. We want to see the watchdog. So the way we access it is we're going to come here, put /watchdog, and basically we can see that they are directly greeted with the login. And we can see here it's just asking us for the username and password that we have added as well. It's not allowing us to see anything else. So first of all, let us do a sample execution. So now this is one of the executions. Let me log in. It's going to be admin 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Login. We can see here that I have already got the action that I did. Let me do another one. Execute. Let's see a few times. And we can see it directly populated them. And that's the nice and the powerful thing about this Nuget package. It directly was able to pick up all of those in less than a millisecond. It gives me all of the information that I need. If I click on it, I can see how much time it took to execute every single request. So this one took 31 milliseconds. We can see which IP address did this, what was the status code, the response that we got, if there is any header that we have passed, everything out of the box. And now if I come here, for example, let's say this one, it has been executed. This one has been really fast, maybe something very fast. So let's see here. So since everything right now is working for the request logs, now let's try with an exception. So let's go back to our rider and let's stop this. And what I'm going to be doing is inside the controller as well. You notice that we did not inject anything into the controller. We did not add anything. All we did is just configure the program.cs with the configuration that we want, and we have this. So let's say here I want to throw an exception. So I'm going to put throw new exception, and here let's say put a message something went wrong, and I'm going to say testing watchdog, and let's save this and let's debug it. Okay, great. Now let's go back to our web browser and we can see everything still works. But what I'm going to be doing right now, I'm going to go to Swagger and I'm going to execute this. And when I execute this, I'm going to receive an error. An exception has happened. Thank you very much. So now we can see that we received an exception. And now if I come here to the exception logs, I will basically be able to see it. So we can see here that we got an exception for data log because basically I think we put the wrong password and the wrong credentials for our database. And here we can see that now we have got something different, which is basically the exception that I have thrown. And we can see here that basically I got all of the information that I want. And if we take a look here and we scroll a bit, we can see that I got all of my information. Where is the error coming from? Basically the full stack of the error. And this is really, really powerful. And this all happened directly by just adding those simple middleware to our application and this Nuget package. So if I click on return to full list, here as well, we can filter based on the request. We can see all of the different HTTP request, HTTP status code that we have, and we can filter on that. It's a very powerful tool to be I like to repeat this again. And lastly, what we're going to be doing here is, let's go back to Rider and let's try this. So let's stop this and let us comment this out. And what I'm going to be doing is inside the logger, So underscore logger, I'm gonna put log information. I'm gonna say this is a sample log. Okay, I think I did something here. It's not the way we log this to WatchDog. So it should be something around this. So it should be WatchDog logger dot log, and here we pass the message. We say this is a sample log from the app v1, and let's remove this. And now if I run my application again and I go back to Firefox and I execute this, let's execute it multiple times. And if I come here and refresh the page, then I go back to the encodes, we can see here that this is a sample log from app 1 has automatically been added. And here, for example, I can see like I can trace my logs and basically see if the logs is being hit when I do a call to my endpoint. And this is really, really powerful. So basically, in essence, what we did today is, let's do a quick recap. So first of all, we have created a web application, web API. And then basically we have added the WatchDog Nuget packages there. Once we have added the WatchDog Nuget package, we basically configured it to store all of the information in a external database. We have created the Postgres database. We created a user and basically we allowed it to connect to it. And then basically we have updated the configuration inside our startup.cs to take full advantage of that. And we have given a username and a password, so we are only the correct people will be able to access the log of our application. And once all of that has been done, we're basically able to experiment with the logging for all of the calls that we're doing, for any exceptions, as well as any message log that we want to do. So as you can see, this is a free Nuget package that we have. It's a really powerful one, and it's really enable us to move our logs into the next step. So please, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. It will really help the channel. And if you have any questions or any clarifications, please put them in the comments down below. And if you'd like to support me as well, please consider contributing to Patreon or buying me a coffee. I really hope this video was really helpful, and have a great day.